Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon, good morning, actually, depending on where you're joining from. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to our webinar, Demystifying CLM in the APAC region, something we've been wanting to sort of cover for a while. My name is Antriksh Goel, and I work as a marketing lead at CloudMoyo. Today, we have with us Shubhadeep Roy Pramanik, who brings years, like decades of CLM experience, and we're really looking forward to the insights that he would be sharing. Shubhadeep, before we dive into the discussion, could you please tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Antariksh, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone who joined the webinar. Um, um, that decades of experience sounds a little old, but jokes apart. So, my name is Shubhadeep Roy Pramanik, and I indeed have over a decades of experience in managing and delivering transformation projects across globe. Currently, I'm serving as a um, global delivery head for the application implementation services at CloudMoyo. And over the past 7+ years, I am focused into uh, helping our customers across geography for their CLM transformation journey. Um, our primary focus is, of course, the North America market. That's where I am also concentrating with our customers, but I am also actively engaged with a lot of our customers in the Asia Pacific region, and that's a very growing region that we are seeing. We are seeing a lot of CLM related tractions in that. So that's why we are having this webinar, and thanks again everyone for joining. We would like to hear from you as well as we continue our discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shubhadeep, for joining our webinar. Everyone, here are a few agendas that we'll be covering today. We'll be talking about CLM adoption in APAC in general, some of the local nuances, some of the driving factors for CLM. Why is CLM a strategic enabler? And of course, the buzzword AI. We'll be covering what AI looks like in action in CLM. CLM maturity model, an ideal journey for customers who want to implement CLM. We'll be discussing that. Readiness as the foundation. So you need to be CLM ready before you actually dive into the implementation phase. So we'll be covering that as well. And of course, we have a great real case study that we'll be talking about. So without any further ado, let's begin our discussion. And to reset the stage, let's ask the most important question to begin with. So, Shubhdeep, what does CLM adoption APAC really look like? Are there any stats you can share? What are the driving factors? What are some challenges that are still there? If you could please share some insights on that.
Sure. Yeah. So, APAC is definitely a growing market. Um, we work with the North America market, and that's a little bit matured because they are into the CLM transformation area for over 10 to 15 years now. So it has evolved and matured over times. Asia Pacific, on the other hand, is a very young market. However, we are seeing a huge momentum over the last 4 to 5 years in the APAC region for the CLM transformation area. And we have pulled up certain data which is very evident that the market is growing. It has got the momentum. So in 2024, the approximate size of the market was 4 billion. However, we are expecting that to grow to about $14 billion by 2033. And so that means it's growing at a compound rate of 14%, which is a significant growth, right? So yes, APAC is growing. It is catching up. but it is growing at a very fast pace.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so now I also want to share a few things about this market. So there were reasons why this is still in a catch-up mode, right? And some of the reasons are very obvious, very natural. So one obviously is that we have seen that there is a natural resistance to change, and that happens to any market in the initial stages, right? So that's where APAC is. It is catching up. So that resistance is still there, but we have seen that that is gradually going away. The second is we have also noticed that the understanding about CLM in this market, both with the GCs and the legal communities, as well as the executive groups of the organizations, are slightly different. It is still forming up. So here, the CLM used to considered as an isolated software, primarily to be used by the legal team for doing their day-to-day job. That perception, however, is gradually going away, and we all know that is exactly not the reality. CLM is definitely not an legal tool only. This is definitely not an isolated one. Right? So this is a completely integrated uh, part of the overall business functions and can enhance the business functions in all the areas. So we will discuss those in the subsequent slides through the webinar today. Now, having said this, what make it to change the market suddenly when there were natural resistance, the perception of the CLM as an isolated software, but beyond that, the market is now changing. We are seeing that the adoption of the CLM is increasing across the customers, across the organizations here. So there are a few reasons that we understand by talking to our customers in the region. So one of the reasons is, and I'm going to discuss few of those, particularly those which are the really the driving factors, right? So, for example, the first thing is that we have seen that the roles of the GCs and their teams, the legal teams, are gradually evolving in the Asia Pacific region. So, beyond their role as the regular role of providing legal advice, drafting the contracts, and all, gradually that is getting extended. Legal team today are now not only doing that work, they are completely integrated into the overall execution of the business processes. So they are contributing to the uh, each and every business process to enhance and to optimize that. So that's how the legal team's roles are changing. They are getting integrated part of the procurement team. They are helping procurement to take quicker decisions. They are helping sales team to take quicker turnaround for their businesses. That is one driving factor. Now, since these roles are changing, that is obviously they need at this stage an tool or an application which can help them to standardize, automate their process so that it is more trackable, there is a transparency, the GCs and the CLOs, along with the other executive members, they know exactly what is happening in the organization. So that is one reason why the organizations in the Asia Pacific region are opting for CLM transformation. The second thing, we have noticed that there is a growing demand or because of the complexity and the regulations are getting imposed by the local governments in this region, that makes uh, a very so that is where the organizations need something which can help them to track and to be compliant with the regulatory laws. We have seen many of those regions like India, Singapore, they are bringing in regulatory laws like equivalent to GDPR of the Europe region. And organizations obviously are trying to remain compliant because non-compliant can cause a very heavy penalty. And not only that, that also erodes some goodwill in the market as well. So all the organizations, they are uh, looking to get themselves compliant with all these newer regulatory compliance that is coming in with all those complexities and all. Uh, Another reason, which is also a very prominent reason, is that Asia Pacific market, like other geographies, are also opting towards the digital transformation and the modernization of their organization processes and tools, right? With all these AI, cloud, IoTs, all these newer technology coming in, which are disrupting the older business processes, Asia Pacific market is no different than the others. So the organization here also are adopting those to make themselves absolutely at par and to compete with the current business ecosystems. So, because of primarily these three things, there are, of course, other reasons about process optimization, transparency, and all. But primarily, these are the three things that we are seeing, which is fueling the growth towards CLM adoption in the Asia Pacific market.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shivdi. That was very elaborative. One thing that I really like that you mentioned is that there's sort of like a perception gap between, whether CLM is just for the legal team or is it for the entire organization to sort of drive their business? Is it acting like a strategic enabler, which is exactly what I want to touch upon in the next slide in our next part of the conversation. So could you share some insights on that as to how CLM becomes a strategic enabler for organizations?
Yeah. Now, this discussion is happening over many years now, whether how CLM should be looked upon. Now, in the North America market, of course, this has been resolved by now because organization realize that this is not an isolated tool like any other software. This is a true strategic enabler. Now, the same is happening here at Asia Pacific market as well. So, say the basic thing is contracting lies at the center of all monetary transactions that the organization is doing, right? So it is at the core of that. So naturally, optimize tracking this efficiently and standardizing this gives immense advantage to the organization. And some of these are very prominent. So, for example, today with a CLM transformation and with AI, where most of the CLM tools um, are relying heavily on the AI technology. So, this is considered as one of the uh, risk mitigation strategy for the organizations because your risk, if you read the contracts and if you have your contract data properly managed, you can proactively identify the risk. And once you proactively identify the risk, you can plan them, manage them, and track them better for the mitigations, right? So instead of being in a reactive mode with a CLM, you can manage your risk proactively. So that is one. Second is we have seen a very often there is a revenue leakage because the contract has not been managed properly, right? In fact, um, it's approximately 50% of the revenue leakage of an organization are primary reasons that the contracts are not managed properly. For example, the renewals doesn't happen timely. The invoicing, the billing didn't happen on a timely basis. The renegotiations of the rates were missed out because the contract data were not readily available with the team. So all these reasons lead to a huge revenue leakage, which with a proper CLM environment, with a proper CLM application, you can manage proactively because the CLM is going to provide you a lot of proactive notifications to avoid such leakages. Third is, and the procurement team across globe who are using CLM, they know that CLM today are helping them to save a lot of cost because they are compiling their CLM data, their contract data, and they are analyzing how they are spending each and every penny to which supplier groups. And by having that data, their team are renegotiating with their suppliers on a timely basis properly, and they are uh, saving a lot of money there because they are optimizing their spending by having those contract data analyzed. And lastly, but not the least, is that any turbulence at any period, be it COVID, be it the recent tariff changes that we are seeing, what you need is your contract because that is going to save you during this turbulence period because you need to understand what are your obligations, what are your limitations, what are your force majeure telling you about to safeguard you from this turbulent period. So in a very brief way, I can tell you that CLM today is definitely a strategic enabler because it is uh, giving its data along with the other organizational data. And when all this combined together, this is a strategic enabler, which impacts all the business functions across the organization.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shubdeep. That was really insightful. We're going to move towards our next round where we would encourage some participation from audience. Can we have a quick poll question up for our audience that they can answer? Right. Thank you. Okay. So this question says, what part of the contracting process do you find the most time consuming today? Whether it is drafting contracts, reviewing them, negotiation stages, getting approvals, which is always a bit time consuming, and obviously tracking obligations, which is the most critical part, which is the entire intent of sort of creating that contract. We're going to give it a minute before our audience can answer. But while we do that, Shubhadeep, what is your thought? What is your perception? Which part is the most time consuming as per you?
Yeah, so I will hold my thought for some time because I want to hear from the Asia Pacific leaders who participated our webinar today. But what I can tell you certainly is that this is of the basic and the first question that any organization should ask before they start their transformation journey. It sounds very simple, but it became the answer becomes the foundation of the transformation journey.
That is well said. I think that sort of correlates to the, part where we were going to talk about CLM readiness. But that's great. Yeah, that is something that we're going to cover in our upcoming session. Can we please bring up the results for the poll? Oh, okay. Okay, so the majority of people say negotiation is the part where, they find the most tedious, the most time consuming. Shubhadeep, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this is very true. We all know that during negotiation, it takes a lot of time, and I agree with this poll that that's the main area which takes a lot of time. However, I would also like to talk about the approvals. If you see that tracking obligations and approvals are also rated around 20% of the voters, which ideally should not be there if you have a proper CLM in place, right? That's what the CLM transformation would help organization. They can cut down on the approvals because spending time on approvals is a waste of time, right? That's
Absolutely.
an unnecessary bureaucracy. If you have the right data, you can have it can happen in a second or
Absolutely.
faster than that, right? So similarly, tracking obligations, it should be done automatically the moment a contract gets executed. That's what the contract data is all about. And if you have a CLM, then that's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shubhadeep. We're going to move to the next part where we talk about AI within CLM. I'm just going to move.
Yeah, so now that's a very interesting topic as well as because we all know that AI is all over today. It is influencing each and every business process, each and every organizations. And CLM is no different. So most of the CLM applications are today heavily AI based because that's where every organization are heading towards. And the way AI is impacting all of us, the advantages, the benefits, we definitely cannot isolate CLM as well. So, and what we have seen is that today AI has been ingrained into the complete contract life cycle, right from drafting, authoring till the end, and also in the post-execution stage. So, for example, during drafting, AI will help you to identify the right templates, suggest the right clauses, etc., etc. During negotiations, it will help you with the redlining, the terms that are getting infused by your third parties, and also that you can easily look into those and take actions on those. Um, then AI will also help you to detect if there are any risks into the contracts that you are getting into. So that's the execution of the contract stage. Now, the post-execution, AI again are immensely helping organizations. So, for example, it is helping you to track all your obligations and it will help you to automatically proactively help you to manage those and it will trigger actions based on those obligations. Um, Obviously,
Right.
the reporting and the data, that's another area AI will help you immensely. And today with the AI using the natural language, user um, can actually interact with the CLM and to get all the data that they need. So yes, AI is all over the CLM.
Perfect. That was a pretty obvious thing, but we sort of wanted to cover for our audience what it looks like. We're going to move ahead and cover a typical maturity journey, Shubhadeep, that you would recommend for our leaders in APAC region.
Right, yeah. And we discussed this, and the reason we want to spend some time on this is we are discussing with a lot of our Asia Pacific business leaders for their CLM journey. And this is something which we have which we prepared over the years of our experience of almost 160 plus CLM transformation that we have done so far in the last 10 plus years. So what we suggest our organization is that let's make it more organic so that the adoption and the value that you are trying to get out of it, you will achieve it. Rather than making it a very knee-jerk reactions and just dumping it into the organization. So what we suggest is that you take it through few steps. The first is, so it's like a crawl, walk, run. So first is the aggregate and the automate, we call it, which is nothing but where we digitize the contracts and standardize the process and workflows and clauses and templates. And we put all the contracting information into a central repository. So that itself will give huge benefit to the existing team because they will have all the contracts and all the data available at their fingertips in the digitized format. So that's the first stage where the CLM should get introduced with the team. The next stage, what we suggest is that integrate this with the other applications landscape that you have in the organization, like with other CRM, ERP, SCM systems that we have, so that the business process and the data flows seamlessly across multiple applications, and you can have the same data, consistent data across applications. The third stage is the analyze stage where you are going to get a lot of benefit because once your all the systems are integrated, you will have uh, consolidated dashboards where AI plus the data applications is going to analytics applications is going to help you to give you all those dashboards and data so that the executive and the organization leaders can review and take their uh, decisions. The fourth stage is once all this is done and the organization started using the system, comes the optimization stage. This is nothing but managing the applications, but not managing the applications at what it has been implemented. It also includes a gradual improvement, gradual enhancement into the application so that it stay aligned with the changing business requirements and the business scenarios. So this is the maturity journey that we suggest to our customers in the Asia Pacific region.
Okay. The next part is CLM readiness, of course, Shubhadeep. If you could please share with our audience. So, for those who are actively looking into uh, making CLM happen for themselves, if they want to do platform-based CLM, the first part that they're going to dive into is CLM readiness. So, for APAC region specifically, what is CLM readiness for them? If you could please share some insights, what does that journey look like, and what are some of the questions that they should focus on initially?
Yeah. So again, this is something that we have created based on our huge experience of almost 160 plus uh, transformation journey that we have helped our customers. And that is why we want to, with all our Asia Pacific customers that we are discussing, this is what we are proposing. Now, as you rightly said, if you start your journey in a pre-planned way, the overall journey can be controlled and will be smooth. If we don't have that, then we all know that the ongoing journey will also be um, uncontrollable, and at times it may not give what we want to achieve. So, what we suggest to all the organizations is that this is a must. This will give you not only on what you want to do, but this assessment will also tell you whether you are ready, whether you are prepared, and what needs to be done so that you can get into a CLM transformation journey in a very pre-planned and um, um, calculated way so that you get to what you want to achieve, right? So what we do is we start with the first action, that is, first, we try to identify, discussing with all the executives that what they want to achieve by getting into a CLM transformation. So, what are those things uh, that they want to change? and what are the things that they want to get as an outcome. So that's the primary thing, because that will set us the goal for the remaining journey. Now, once that is done, the next thing is identifying the user community, because as we discussed earlier, CLM is no more a standalone function of the legal team. So it is something that are being used across the organizations like procurement, HR, sales, finance, all the organizations, all the departments within an organization. So we need to identify those groups and then identify their requirement as well, and streamline those requirements with the organization target that the organization wants to achieve. Along with that, what we also do is we understand the current process that the organization is having, the challenges with the current process, which is very important because that led us to design the going forward or the to be process to close those leakages and gaps in the current system, in the current processes, right? Along with that, so that's on the business process side. We also do an analysis on the overall technology landscape, what the organizations are having currently, and we prepare a plan how the CLM should get integrated with those and how the right data should flow across those organizations. And last but not the least, out of this exercise, what we call as CLM readiness assessment, we also create the measurable outcomes right at the beginning of the program. Um, and this will help you. Uh, this is something that we measure over the life cycle. So this will also tells the organization whether their transformation journey is heading towards the right track. They are going to what would be the outcome and whether they will what is the success factor, right? So this readiness service is something which has been very helpful in our North America market, particularly with the large organizations. We are suggesting all our Asia Pacific customers the same thing to adopt.
Right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Shubdeep. We are a little bit over time. So we also promised our audience that we would cover a real use case. So we're going to just do that a bit quickly. So let's say we remove CLM readiness out of the equation. That not might, that will sort of, lead you to a failed CLM implementation. So we do have a use case study that we wanted to discuss. So Shubdeep, if
Correct.
you could go ahead and
Yeah,
share
yeah,
us.
sure. And the reason we choose these use case is it will exactly tell you what we were talking in the earlier slides, why CLM readiness is so very recent case with one of our large customers who are a Fortune 2022. However, after an year, they realize that they are not getting the value out of their investments. So users are not using the system. So that means the adoption is not happening. Users are complaining that it's an overly complicated solution. Their requirements are not getting fulfilled by the applications. The end result is that the adoption is not happening. The investment is not getting the return or the outcome that the organization initially expected. Now, that is the stage when they bring us in, when they reach out to us to help them with that situation. So, what we did is instead of directly jumping into the application, we did an assessment with them. So, we identified what are their current challenges, both the process wise as well as in the applications. What are those things that are creating an hindrances for the users to adopt the system? Now, once we identify that, we re-engineered the design. We then implemented that design. We optimized the existing or the originally implemented solution. we we make it more user friendly because we were discussing the same solution with the users. So we got inputs from them how they want to have their application to be used. So we infused all those suggestions and we redesigned the application. We redesigned the integration as well because earlier the data were flowing, but many of those data are not relevant. They were not making any sense to the users. So we redesigned, realigned the integration as well. And so in a nutshell, we actually take them through that CLM transformation for the second time. And the end result was obviously fabulous. Users today are adopting the system, not only the legal team, but their procurement, their sales, even including the other business groups, they all are using the CLM. They have today a centralized repository and dashboards, which the organization is using. And those dashboards are covering not only the legal, the contract data, but also their procurement data, their payment data, all clubbed together, which the organization today is using. So and there are many such cases. We are just discussing one of these. But this is what we have seen over the last 10, 12 years of our journey with the CLM transformation. That if the foundation or what we call CLM readiness has not been done correctly, this is something, a very natural outcome. Your implementation will fail, it will not get adopted, and the end result is organization will spend money, but they will not get the required output that they initially thought of.
Session, I do want to tell you a little bit about CloudMoyo. So we are the partner of choice for solutions at the intersection of cloud and AI. Here are some of our feats that we are very proud of. We have one, so we are an iCertis partner and we are a premier iCertis partner, and we've done over 160 implementations. In 2024, we won the award for the highest NPS, and we currently we do have an NPS of 58. We do have our CloudMoyo accelerators that help us sort of fast track all of the CLM AI related processes that we talked about. We're also a Microsoft partner. We are a Microsoft solutions partner for data and AI, which sort of enables us to implement other solutions related to that. We're also ISO 27001 2022 certified, which basically means that we innately follow all the best information security practices that there are. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If you do have any questions that we could not answer, if you want to talk to us, please avail your free 45-minute one-on-one consultation that is available to all the attendees today. And I do want to thank Shubhadeep for joining us, getting this done, and answering so many questions that all of us have about CLM in general and APAC especially. To our audience, again, I request you to reach out to us at marketing@cloudmoyo.com. But yes, thank
Thank
you.
you, Antariksh. Thank you, team. And thank you, all the participants who joined our webinar. We would be happy to get in touch with you personally and spend some time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.